computer anyway, but
Okay, let's
trying
go.
to let you in. I can't find any. Let's try more.
Hello, Ian.
Seeing recording up in the top left hand.
Does anyone in the Navy know how you can allow somebody else to record?
Yeah, apparently
Yeah,
I'm recording. I don't
Yes,
know.
you get the lowest rank on the ship and they'll know everything.
I'd have assumed it was under security, but we tend not to record it, so I couldn't say, I'm afraid.
Okay, right. So
Okay, David, I'll get your file when you're finished.
okay, well, I'm
And
recording.
then I'll
with
process it after that.
this. Okay, right.
David, just to
Sort that out
note,
for the next
screen
meeting.
sharing is disabled as well. Could you turn that on, please, under security?
I beg your pardon?
Participant screen sharing is turned off as well, just for when we get around to our bits.
Okay, there we go. Share screen.
There we go, sorted. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that was easy. Getting the next bit is obviously difficult. Anyway, I'll leave that till later. I was just going to say, and this has been a good demonstration of the difficulties we have learning our way around this new platform. But one of the problems I had the last time was recognizing when somebody was trying to attract my attention. I was asking you if you could to use the chat function. If everybody doesn't know this, if you're on a computer or something like that, it's down on the bottom and it simply says chat. And if you click on it, it brings up if you like, an internal email section to your right.
This is getting 2 seconds.
You might be different on an iPad. Ian will be the expert on that one.
It's probably up in the top right under the more button.
Yes. Okay. So
Can't we just put our hand up? and
if you put
say,
your hand up,
I'd like to speak.
if you put your hand up, Graham, I may see you, but I may not. It's quite difficult with so many
Yeah, okay.
faces on the screen. So
Yeah.
if you want to attract my attention or to ask a question, if you can do it through chat, that would be a help. Otherwise, I'll try and keep an eye open.
I'm not even gonna try.
Okay, just a brief update. I think it's quite important since we haven't met each other for so long. There will be a lot of news out there about people, members who we haven't been able to pass on in our normal meetings. I know I can say that Jim Aitken has not been well. Graham, you've pinched my screen here.
What's this?
Oh,
Take a wellness break on Zoom.
Now somebody's nicked my screen here.
Graham, one of the Grahams.
no, not me. Haven't touched anything.
Right, that's who's that?
Excuse me, it's Graham Cole. Graham,
Yes,
at the top of your screen, put your
Graham
cursor
Cole.
at the top.
I'm trying to come back in again.
Oh, yeah, I haven't touched anything here.
No.
No sound.
It's not something you've done. It's
Yeah,
something.
no, it's just wait. There we go.
That's it.
That's it.
Good,
That's it.
excellent. You'd be very glad to know that I did warn the Navy that there might be the odd hiccup. Anyway, yes, I was saying about Jim Aitken. Jim Aitken hasn't been well at all, but he's now much better and recovering nicely. Jeremy Willings, many of you will know, is unable to serve on the committee anymore. Sadly, he's been diagnosed with dementia. So I'm afraid that's the two pieces of both good and bad news that I have. Has anyone else got any news they'd like to pass on about any?
Yes, David. Malcolm Beaton has left us.
Right.
He can't, he's very difficult to travel from North Berwick to here.
Okay. And obviously, many of you will know that George Gillen has moved to Dunbar.
Yes.
And we'll be hoping to pay George the tribute which he is due, long due. At a
I've
later,
written out a tribute to him.
excellent. At a later
yeah.
date, we'll do that.
I think we shouldn't wait until we'll actually deliver it in his presence, as it were.
Yes, yes. Okay, can I now move on to the meeting proper? Let me just get my notes sorted here. And can I welcome the Navy and the Marines? You've both been, well, you've really been very, very generous in your time in coming to give us this talk today, and we're most grateful to you. Thank you. Can I introduce to you, everybody, Sub-Lieutenant Marcus Parker, who's in the Royal Navy, and Lance Corporal Kai Baker, who's a Royal Marine. I can tell you a little bit about them. Sub-Lieutenant Marcus Parker joined the Navy in early 2019, and he commissioned through Britannia Royal Naval College in August of that year. He's been with the Royal Navy presentation team in a holdover position since November 19. During this time, he has undertaken various career courses and has been part of facilitating and coordinating the team's move to virtual platforms in response to the coronavirus pandemic. In April this year, he will move on to begin his career specialization, I'll get that word right, specialization, training as an air traffic controller at RAF Shawbury. Welcome. And Lance Corporal Kai Baker joined the Royal Marines in 2016, and he has served across various commando units. He deployed to the Caribbean to provide humanitarian relief and support to the local police forces during Hurricane Irma. I'm sure many of you remember that. He specializes in heavy weapons air defense, a role he thoroughly enjoys and which has taken him to some great places all over the world. He is a keen rugby player, a member of the Royal Navy's Senior 15 and the Royal Marines rugby squad. So welcome to you too, Kai. Welcome. Welcome to you both.
Very much.
Now you're going to be speaking on current activities, structure and equipment of the Naval Service, and I'll hand over to you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all. So today we're going to give you our 20-minute presentation, followed by a short Q&A at the end. Feel free to ask any questions you want, whether it's about the presentation, about our experiences in the Navy. We will say that we don't answer political questions, but we'll do our best to answer any of the sort of questions that we may have. But without further ado, sir, if you'd like to start.
Million.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Royal Navy presentation team. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to tell you how we use our world's waters and oceans affect every facet of your life and how the Royal Navy operates around the world. If there's one thing we want you to take away from this, it's how important the sea is to the life that you know today. I'd like to start off with one example. In 2018, one underwater cable off the coast of Africa was cut. Because that one cable was cut, the entire country of Mauritania, a country with more land borders than coastline, which has roads and infrastructure connecting it to the rest of the continent, went completely offline for 2 days. And 9 other countries in the region had internet outages. Bear that in mind as you look at the next slide. This is our country. It's an island. It is surrounded on almost every front by the sea. Half our food and energy and 95% of our trade travels by sea. 97% of our data travels through underwater cables. Virtually every aspect of modern Britain is dependent on the water that surrounds us, because that water is our connection to the world.
The sea is massively important to the UK's economic life, simply because we're an island nation. The general perception of the UK public is that shipping is not that integral to their lives, but nothing could be further from the truth. Everything that you could possibly think of in your home,
It's too afraid for him.
these things are not brought in by train or plane. These come by ship. If you can imagine
he's not
the
speaking
impact of
very well.
piracy, the impact of major waterways like the Panama Canal, the Suez Canal being shut down for even a temporary basis, you're talking about a huge knock-on impact to the just-in-time delivery that is effectively underpinning global trade these days. The wheels of global trade need to keep on turning, and it's essential that you have a robust naval presence to stop threats like piracy or local conflicts from affecting global trade.
That's a recorded thing because it's not in sequence with
Fishing
these.
is the main threat, so taking too
Yes.
much stock from the sea and depleting the stock and therefore having no fish in the future. The general public should be concerned about the long-term availability of British fish, and that all comes down to management. And when you have management, you need surveillance and you need enforcement, because unfortunately in any industry, and fishing's no different, there are people who will bend the rules slightly or even break the rules. The presence of the Royal Navy on the fishing grounds brings with it a certain authority, as you would expect with a naval vessel appearing on your radar. So they provide a valuable service.
We're currently importing probably in the region of 800,000 barrels a day of oil and very significant quantities of natural gas as well. Virtually all of that comes to us passing through very narrow bottlenecks that carry a lot of the world's traded oil. To suddenly see the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, for example, stopped completely, the world would effectively run out of usable supplies within about a year.
All of the business I invest in rely on international trade at some level, so whether that's import or export. And actually, when I think about it, probably 3/4 of my businesses absolutely assume that they are going to be able to trade internationally through the oceans. So for me, it would be an awful scenario if we couldn't trust that we were able to move goods and people safely through the seas. Although it's not a business, the Royal Navy, for many people and many countries, it's the face that will
He's
conjure
on
up what
Dragon's
Britain
Den.
is
All
all
right.
about. And it's very important when you're trying to get yourself seen and heard and known in a world that people can kind of picture you. The vision of them, it's a good vision, it's a safe vision, it's a trusting vision.
70% of our world is covered by the oceans. They carry 90% of its trade, 60% of its food, and can take us to over 3/4 of its largest cities. They are the lifeblood of our global economy. And you can see on the map that huge amounts of that trade go through the same routes and through the same choke points you heard referred to in the video. Even your internet, with all the satellites we have in space, still travel through the sea 97% of the time on a network of cables that look like this. 1.2 kilometers of fiber optic cables carry 97% of our data, up to 8 times faster than a satellite can. It was the loss of one of these cables that took Mauritania offline for 2 days in 2018. As far as your food, your energy, your internet, and the goods that you buy are concerned, the world does not look like this, the world looks like this. Our seas and oceans are not the border of a map, sitting around the edges of our land masses and finishing at the edges of our screens. They are the web that connects the world, an international network we use to exchange our goods, our services, and our diplomacy.
Quite an interesting way of looking at it, isn't it?
According to the United Nations, without international shipping, half the world would freeze and the other half would starve. But this world is not as safe as we would like to think. The seas are governed by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, but some countries refuse to ratify the treaty. Other countries have ratified the treaty, but are now breaking it to bolster international power. Meanwhile, terrorists and criminals threaten international trade at its most vulnerable, in the choke points. If these choke points were compromised, then global trade would be thrown into disarray. Supplies would plummet, prices would skyrocket. Think of the fuel shortages in the 1970s or early noughties, or the shortages on our supermarket shelves at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. In both the physical and the virtual realm, it's the sea that connects the world.
On a Average day around the world, the Royal Navy has thousands of sailors and Royal Marines and as many as 40 ships, submarines and aircraft deployed or preparing to deploy. Across all 7 continents, your Royal Navy is out there doing what is asked of it, and at times much more. Active and fully engaged around the world. As a nation, we rely on the stable supply of oil, gas and raw materials into our ports. By guarding the flow of these energy resources and ensuring trade routes remain open and safe to use, the Navy protects UK supply lines and safeguards its prosperity. Every day of the year, the Navy provides security by maintaining a visible presence in home waters and in regions overseas where there are strong UK interests. This allows the Royal Navy to build relationships with regional partners and respond rapidly to conflict, aggression and unforeseen natural disasters, helping restore stability, bringing humanitarian assistance and saving lives. Promoting partnerships with other nations is key to helping them to make the sea safer for everyone, as well as helping to share the burden of providing security. It also allows us to increase levels of understanding and cooperation between nations. By being globally deployed, the Royal Navy prevents conflict. Its reassuring presence can often be enough to deter threats, help keep the peace and stabilise potential hotspots. And being globally deployed also helps the Navy to respond swiftly to unforeseen events as and when they emerge. This is why the Navy is always ready to fight and win in combat at sea, on land, and in the air. All of the Royal Navy's tasks are possible because the 30,000 sailors and Marines of the Royal Navy are a highly skilled and efficient force. They are the lifeblood of the service, able to adapt whatever the mission demands and are the key to delivering success anywhere in the world. The Royal Navy is your Navy, working 365 days a year around the globe with one aim: protecting our nation's interests.
In 2010, the Royal Navy dealt with 1 Russian warship entry into UK waters of interest, including the North Atlantic and the North Sea. In 2020, we dealt with 57. Our merchant ships, oil pipelines, our data cables, our offshore energy farms, and our nuclear deterrent all need security at sea to function. This is why we patrol and protect our waters, preventing malign activity above and below the waves. All whilst we provide essential services at home, such as surveying our harbours and waterways and conducting dangerous bomb disposal work and supporting the government in national crisis. Of course, a global Britain with global interests needs a global Navy. So every day we are deployed all around the world. Our work at home extends to the high Northern Arctic and the Baltic Sea, where we routinely join NATO forces and take part in exercises with our international partners. We do this to secure NATO's borders, to ensure key trade routes in Europe and Arctic remain free, and to maintain global alliances on which we all depend. In the Gulf, the Royal Navy's permanent presence of 6 ships, a bomb disposal team, and a naval support facility ensures we are ready when British and Allied interests are endangered. Throughout the year, we ensure the transport of 1/4 of the world's liquid natural gas and 1/5 of the world's oil through the Straits of Hormuz. In the Indo-Pacific, where China is doubling the size of its destroyer fleet and has built the largest coast guard in the world, the Royal Navy is busy protecting our trade, our access, and our influence. We uphold the 5 powers defence arrangement. We fight piracy and we defend freedom of navigation in the disputed South China Seas, and we help enforce UN Security Council sanctions. Our permanent presence in Gibraltar, gateway to the Mediterranean, enables us to fight organised crime off Africa and contribute to NATO maritime security operations. Our presence routinely extends to the Eastern Mediterranean, where Russia is investing hundreds of millions into their naval base in Syria, near British Cyprus and its army and RAF bases. Meanwhile, in the Black Sea, we are training our Ukrainian allies after the Russian annexation of Crimea and capture of 3 Ukrainian naval vessels. All the while, we are routinely protecting Britain's overseas territories. From the Caribbean to the Falkland Islands to the Antarctic. We are fighting global organised crime, providing disaster relief and preventing foreign aggression. We do all this whilst using our presence to build diplomacy with our key international allies, whilst maintaining our nuclear deterrent and whilst conducting special operations all around the world. But a changing world brings new threats, so we are investing heavily in technology, innovating to give Britain modern options with a global reach ready to go at a moment's notice. Underwater, we are busily maintaining our operational advantage. The world-beating Type 26 frigates and Astute-class submarines will increase our submarine capabilities so that we can better protect our data cables, protect our energy supplies, and along with our innovative autonomous mine hunting systems, we will continue to enable naval forces and merchant shipping, whether ours or an ally's, to go wherever they're needed. Meanwhile, the new Dreadnought submarines will maintain the country's ultimate insurance policy, the nuclear deterrent at sea, just as the Navy has done every day for 50 years. On the surface and in the skies, Navy and RAF pilots are launching the most advanced fighter jet from two of the world's most modern and globally portable airfields. HMS Queen Elizabeth is preparing for her first deployment, fully integrated with our US and European allies. Throughout their lives, these two carriers will be the centerpiece of both British and Allied task groups. They will give invaluable options and capabilities both to our government and to our partners, and confirm Britain's leading role in both NATO and the wider international community. 40% of the Royal Navy's major units are currently held at high readiness in support of NATO, and in 2021, the UK will provide 15% of NATO's maritime capability. Meanwhile, from the mountains to the oceans and every point in between, the Navy's Royal Marines are ready. 65% are routinely deployed overseas or held at very high readiness. We are at the tactical forefront, using small, independent, high-tech teams to achieve results. But the Marines are transforming too. The Future Commando Force, 2 modern littoral response groups, globally deployed with cutting-edge equipment, will take us to the next level. And this modern Navy is not just ready to tackle human threats. We're taking the fight to climate change with HMS Tamar, one of our newest ships, the greenest in the fleet, with catalytic converters that reduce her nitrogen-based emissions by up to 95%. Now, we may have the most modern tech, but this means nothing if we're not a modern employer. From our 33,000 regulars to our over 4,000 reservists, we blend military discipline with progressive values and grow the most modern skills along the most timeless principles. We are officially in the top 3 apprenticeship providers in the country. Our 23 apprenticeship schemes, ranging from engineering to cyber to hospitality, train 3,500 people to an Ofsted outstanding level. We are taking the broadest spectrum of Britain's people and giving them modern skills, a global outlook, so they can thrive in whatever worlds tomorrow's workforce will navigate. And it's not just about skill, it's about identity too. That's why for years we have been binding people together with one identity above all others. Shipmates, whether it's our new diversity task force reporting directly into the Navy's most senior commanders, or our consistent rankings today as one of the top employers in Britain for women and LGBTQ people. We know people perform at their best when they can be themselves. By nurturing talent universally, we create a formidable, united, global British force. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us towards the end of our presentation. Tomorrow's Britain, our island, faces a changing world full of challenges. The international rules-based order is being tested. Our data becomes more vital and vulnerable by the day. There is growing competition for resources, and terrorism and instability are constant threats. In all of this, the sea, which our island depends on for our food and our data, our economy and our energy, our trade and our influence, is centre stage as the venue for these struggles. In this changing world, the Navy's in heavy demand. Whether at home, in the Far East, in the Gulf, from the Arctic to the Antarctic, we are there, working for Britain. The Royal Navy does not stand still. We are a modern employer. We are a powerful force. We combine progressive principles with the latest technology, and we deliver for our nation and our allies. We are a global Navy going further for a global Britain. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for this.
Start the recording again. Hamish, can I ask you to give the vote of thanks,
Certainly, Marty.
please?
Is my mic on? Yeah.
Yes, you hear you.
When I was invited quite a number of years ago to join Probus, one of the things put to me was that they had probably the best set of speakers that you could find in the area. And I was a bit doubtful about that, you know, people tend to blow things up. But I wasn't disappointed, and certainly not disappointed today. That was a superb presentation. I've noted down some of the things about how you look at the world trade, where it's happening, you know, where the oil's going, and the safe passage of it all in a small country which used to rule the world, but that was more historical than because we were the new technology then. And it's been a really informative talk. And of course, my fellow Probus people are very good at thinking up difficult questions, but they got very good answers. I want to say one thing in addition to that, which was that my father was in the Royal Navy. He joined the Royal Navy in the 30s. He married then, and my mother had 2 children, but when I was born, my father was dead. He had a DSM from cutting an Italian submarine in half. It was a light cruiser he was on, who died at HMS Hermione. And but some weeks later or some months later, they were torpedoed off Alexandria and the ship went down at full steam. But I've never blamed the Navy for missing me out, so to speak, or taking me out. I've always admired the Navy. It's got, just seeing the Marines, the Marine Band marching up a quayside is enough to stir up everything. And I just wish, as was suggested earlier, that we maybe would really enjoy a day at sea with the Navy. That will not happen, but it's in my thoughts. I would like you to join me in thanking our 2 speakers today, because I think we've had a really good morning. And thank you to our own technicians for getting hold of this technology and having us all here. It seems I keep looking around for the cup of tea, but it's, when that cup appeared over there, I thought, that's tea for me. So can we thank you from the Marines and from the Navy? Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much indeed. I did say that if you want to depart now, you're fully welcome to do so, but you can stay on and listen to the bitter end if you so wish. But yes, as Hamish has said, we're very grateful indeed to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks very much. We'll head off then and leave you to it. Have a good afternoon and good morning.
Cheers.
Bye.
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 Right, gentlemen, we've one further item to talk about, and that is just to hear an update from Tom as to what the committee is in the early stages of developing for next session. Tom.
Yes, hello, can you hear me all right?
You can?
Yes.
Yes, you'll notice the name change. During the COVID lockdown, I had a transgender, not. What I'm actually doing is using somebody else's machine, and that's I'm grateful for that. The committee are now meeting fairly regularly to prepare, we're meeting on Zoom to prepare the 2021-22 programme. And we already have a wide range of potential speakers covering the period for your diary starting on the 6th of September and going on till the proposed AGM planned for the 3rd of May. And this program will include one or two speakers who were not able to be with us because of the COVID lockdown. And we look forward to welcoming them. And you'll have the names on the old program. Our intention is to bunch together during the earlier stages of the program those proposed speakers who are Zoom aware and Zoom competent, so that we can be sure of having meetings one way or another throughout the session. And if the COVID restrictions should be lifted, those earlier Zoom speakers will, of course, turn up instead in the Maitland Field in person. And we're hoping that this will happen. But we don't, of course, know the cut-off point between the Zoom meetings and the normal Maitland Field meetings. During the Zoom meetings, each member will be responsible for his own digestive biscuits. We can't do anything to help you in that respect. And the speakers that we know are not comfortable with Zoom, or where Zoom is inappropriate, we're trying to push them along the calendar so that we can get them to come in person around about, say, December, January and onwards. Now, having said all that, there's going to be a situation where we have one or two vacancies towards the back end of the session, and we're appealing to members to come forward and speak, perhaps through the secretary, if they have ideas for speakers later on in the program. There's no need to concern yourself with speaking to people proposing, for example, October or November. We're planning to have good speakers in place at that time. So these people that you might be able to find, they would be up at the back end of the program. Now, we'll be proudly presenting two of our own members as speakers. The Right Honourable Jerry Irwin, who will be speaking about Egypt with various frills, and Gregor Robertson, who will be talking about his time at the BBC. That's actually during radio career prospects and later on to television. Now, it's very important to say that we're in close touch with Stacey, the manager of the Maitland Field, and she'll be guiding us on timing and what will be allowed and not allowed. There's also issues about the facilities which will be available because of renovations and alterations which are taking place at the Maitland Field. We have to realize that Stacey is a highly professional provider of hospitality, and she will not allow us to do anything which is unsafe or above and beyond the regulated things that we can do. And we're keeping close touch with her about that. So we're very pleased about the progress that we've been making so far, and speakers who are being approached either for Zoom purposes or live are very willing to come forward and present to us, and we're looking forward very much to a very reassuring program. The cut-off point, as I've said, between Zoom meetings and other meetings is uncertain, but we'll be working very closely on that, and with Stacey and all will be well. We're not even prepared to make a forecast of when we will go live.
You can make a forecast.
People have
You
their
don't
own
think you
personal
can make a forecast when things are going to change.
thoughts about the date.
Can't put a date on it.
There we have it, and that's all I want to say. Things are moving along nicely, and look forward to actually seeing you in due course. Okay, David?
That's super, Tom. Thank you very much indeed. Right, can I just ask Ian to update us on next meeting that we're having on Zoom? That's on the 26th.
Yeah, it's going to be delivered by someone on behalf of the Scottish Air Ambulance Service. And that's all going to follow the same sort of pattern as we've had today. We'll have a sign in for everybody, a few minutes to get all our little bits of IT working coherently, have a presentation, and then a wash up after that. Today's meeting, assuming I can get the file from David, will eventually be converted and put onto YouTube, which will mean we'll then have 3 items on YouTube. One being David Elder's film visit to the Bo'ness Railway Museum. The other one being the lifeboat. We'll have this one with the Royal Navy and one with the air ambulance, hopefully at the end of that. So see you all for the 26th.
Excellent, thanks, Ian. The final item, if you like, on the agenda is a request. We've been trying to get our secretary onto Zoom for some time, and one of the problems is he doesn't have the right up-to-date equipment. I thought I had it solved by being able to give him an old laptop of mine, but in fact it proves to be of similar ilk, unable to download Zoom. So if anybody has some machine which is capable of operating Zoom out there that they don't require and could lend to Jerry, that'd be much appreciated. But
certainly would.
Yep. So can I close, gentlemen, and thank you very much indeed for all attending. I think we've had an informative and instructive morning. It's been good to see everybody. Great to see everybody, and hope to see you all on the 26th.
Just before you go, David, could you and I maybe hang on for a second and sort out how we're going to get this file across?
Okay, that should be interesting. Okay.
Everybody else
it'd be worth saying, can members mute their microphones during the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, that was my mistake. I forgot to mute everybody. I muted you mostly through it, but yep.
Somebody had a clock that announced it was 10 o'clock very loudly.
It did, I know. We had a few. Anyway, we'll get.
Must have been my grandfather's clock.
No, it was wonderful. Right.
Thanks,
Graham.
Is that it?
Yeah, we'll finish now.
I think that's it. So bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Image.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye, Graham.
Bye, Graham.
Oh, brilliant sunshine.
Lovely.
Isn't it?
I can straight out there.
Enjoy that. Enjoy that. I don't. We may not be here on
For those of you struggling, if you click on your screen, there should be a red button come up that says "Leave meeting."
Yeah, I got it.
And if you can't find that, just switch the machine off.
And back on again, and it'll work.
Okay, David, the file should appear in the same area as your previous one did.
Right.
It'll still have Zoom dash